Creativity, episode 104. ZZ Top Tribute. A how. I give you our host, Mr. V.
Thanks, Biff. You know, one of my favorite bands of all time is no more. The great Dusty Hill from ZZ Top has passed away. His last show would have been, locally here to me, in New Lenox, Illinois. He had canceled that gig due to health reasons, and Reverend Billy Gibbons, guitar tech of 25 years, took Dusty's spot, and for the first time in history that I am aware of, I could be wrong, ZZ Top played with a member that wasn't the original three. Well, once Dusty got on in 1970, that is. ZZ Top, what a great fucking band. Three guys tearing it up. In the 70s, we had some fucking great power trios. We had ZZ, Rush, Triumph. Last two bands from Canada, of course. Just, there's something about a trio. You have to make a lot of noise, fill a lot of space with three people. What makes rock and roll trios so great? Probably the jazz trios that preceded them. ZZ Top, Beer Drinkers, Hellraisers, Tush, LaGrange, Jesus Just Left Chicago, Waiting on the Bus, Sharp Dressed Man, Give Me All Your Lovin', Legs. The list goes on and on. The guitar heroes of my time, which you could probably say late 70s, early 80s, and into early 90s. Eddie Van Halen, huge disciple of the Reverend Billy Gibbons. Now, ZZ Top just celebrated 50 years during the lockdown. They were going to do a whole 50-year anniversary tour, which of course they couldn't do. Luckily, he did get to go out and play a few shows. And, he's obviously had some health issues going on the past few years. But this, like when Eddie Van Halen died, crushing. This band, not having ZZ Top around is not like having, like Soldier Field in Chicago, like if that just disappeared. They were, to the rock and roll community and to the blues community, and to the Texas community, of course, ZZ Top. No one could beat them. They come from a time where you got out on the road and you played your ass off. Of course, they started, I think they were called the Moving Sidewalks at some point. And yeah, I think that's what, and they opened up for Hendrix. That's how long they've been around. No lineup changes. And 10 years after being the great ZZ Top, they come back with Eliminator, some cool videos, a kick-ass muscle car. And the next thing you know, they were even bigger than they were before. MTV put them into the stratosphere, and another generation of fans to follow. 10 years later, they did it again, not as big, but they would come back, and they would always try to be modern in their sound. They didn't necessarily rely on what they did in 1974, or like, hey, let's make another Tres Amigos album. No. ZZ Top always moved forward. And up until today, ZZ Top had a run-on sentence of 50 years. And now that sentence has come to an end with an exclamation point of, what the fuck? We love ZZ Top. We love Dusty. We love Billy. And we love Mr. Beard, who carried the beat. That was the groove of ZZ Top. The Beard and the Hill. When they create a pocket, you listen. Reverend Billy would come up, slick as ice, fill in a little lick here and there. And the good thing about ZZ Top, they didn't they let the song breathe. You could fill the space with one note. You don't have to be Mr. Yngwie Malmsteen. Sometimes just a one-note bend is all you need. And hopefully, musicians will continue to learn from ZZ Top. It's going to be weird seeing the Reverend without Dusty at his side. And when he came out with his last album, I'm talking about Reverend Billy Gibbons, just came out with an album not too long ago with Matt Soren on drums. And it's a trio again. But it's a trio with the Reverend and two younger guys. That's how Billy likes to play. And when I saw that, I kind of knew that ZZ's time was running out. But when you've been a band for 50 years, that's going to be a natural inevitability anyway. I mean, look at the Stones. Would we be surprised? Well, Keith Richards is going to live to be like 3,500 years old, but ZZ Top, man, that leaves a huge hole. This week we've lost it's ridiculous, something like 8 musicians. A lot of them are metal guys. We got some, like Hal from Metal Church passed away yesterday. A couple other people. We had 2 people from Cinderella not too long ago. And, they're, the bands that we grew up with are fading away into the ethers. And, man, if you're a musician, pick up your guitar, pick up your drumsticks, pick up your bass, play. We need you to play. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be playing ZZ Top at their next gig, no matter if they're a small band, huge band, middle band. Doesn't matter. A lot of bands are going to be recording ZZ Top. And I know I'm going to be one of them recording some ZZ. Jason, you ready? So that's going to be cool. But ZZ Top, man. Z is at the end of the alphabet, but at the beginning of the beat. ZZ Top, the man on the street. All right, so I'm going to be going through this article here. Did you know Dusty Hill accidentally shot himself in the stomach a few years ago? Yeah, he's pretty embarrassed about it. So this is from loudersound.com, okay? The article reads, ZZ Top's Dusty Hill. I shot myself, but I have no regrets. A man with a huge beard and equally voluminous sense of humor, Dusty Hill tells classic rock about shooting himself and what he'd like written on his tombstone. This article is by Malcolm Dome, originally from Classic Rock, appearing on loudersound.com. I hope I have everyone pleased, and we can move on. Dusty Hill's been the bassist. I always called him the lead bassist, because ZZ Top, the thing that made him different, it wasn't lead guitar, baby. It was lead bass. That's why they had that. That's why they sounded like they sounded. So Dusty has been the bassist / vocalist with ZZ Top, not the main vocalist, co-vocalist, since 1969. I was wrong. I thought it was 70. Born in Dallas, he'd renowned his voluminous beard as much as his trademark playing, and also for his underrated vocal ability. Over the years, Hill has kept a low profile compared to bandmate Billy Gibbons, but he's appeared in several TV shows, most notably playing himself in an episode of the animated series King of the Hill. Bobby, God damn it.
But Dad, it's Dusty Hill. We gotta listen to some ZZ.
Anyway, perhaps the most notorious story surrounding Hill came in 1984 when he accidentally shot himself in the abdomen while taking off his boots. It's still an incident that embarrasses him to this day, but Dusty is also renowned for his excellent sense of humor. They asked, "Do you believe there is a God?" He goes, "Yes, I do. But I don't know what or who God is. If I did, then I'd be out spreading the word. What's the biggest misconception about you? When people meet me, they think I should be a lot taller. Being on stage or on TV makes you seem like a giant compared to real-life people. When someone says to me, 'I thought you'd be taller,' I just use the reply Humphrey Bogart came up with. 'How tall do I need to be?' When asked what's the best and worst drink you ever had, he goes, 'Well, the best is a hard one to pin down. There are so many around the world, but I'd go for Canadian blended whiskey. That's something else. As for the worst, that can be any old cheap wine. That stuff kills you. When asked when you accidentally shot yourself, what went through your mind? He goes, well, my first reaction was shit, and then ouch. I couldn't believe I'd done something so stupid. To this day, I don't know how I could do it. But I didn't really feel anything at the time. All I know is I had to get myself to a hospital straight away. So I got in the car and drove there, and it was only when I arrived at the hospital at the seriousness of what it done, it hit me, and I went into shock. They ask, what's your biggest regret? He answers, I don't believe in regrets at all. What's the point? There are things that I've done that, if I had my time all over again, I would do differently, or not at all. But I am the sort of person who, once something's done, just brushes it away and gets on with life. If you spend time agonizing over the past, in the end, you get badly beaten up psychologically. They ask, do you have a philosophy on life? He goes, well, I think life is there for you to grab it and be positive. Just look for the good everywhere. If you walk around expecting shit to happen, then it will. ZZ Top has clocked over more than 40 years without a change of lineup. Is there a secret to keeping the band together? He answers, it's a cliche and sounds so simplistic, but it's down to the three of us genuinely enjoying playing together. We still love it, and we still get a kick out of being on stage. We also have enough in common to maintain a bond between us, but sufficient differences to keep our individuality. And after all this time, we all know what winds up the others and what makes them the people they are. He's like, what can you do that no one else can? He goes, I don't know. You have to ask other people. I like to believe that I play bass like Dusty Hill, and that's something no one else can do as well as me. I'm the best Dusty Hill I know. They ask him, I'm skipping a little bit here. They ask him, what would you like to be written on your tombstone? He goes, I bet you'd be expecting me to be surprised at that question, right? Because most people I know never think about these things. But I've been turning that over and over in my mind recently. It may sound morose, but you never get younger. I've come up with some ideas and then rejected them all. There is an inscription on a wooden marker over a grave in Boot Hill that says, here lies Lester Moore, 4 slugs from a 44. No less, no more. I like the humor in that. I've come up with a few ideas of my own, but none of them are really that good. And that's where the interview for that article ends. Okay, now we're going to USA Today. We're going to read the obituary article from them today, written by Melissa Ruggieri. It reads, One of rock's most iconic trios has lost a member. Dusty Hill, the bass player of ZZ Top for more than 50 years, died on Wednesday. He was 72. Hill's bandmates Frank Beard and Billy Gibbons confirmed the news Wednesday in a statement that read, we are saddened by the news today that our compadre, Dusty Hill, has passed away in his sleep at his home in Houston, Texas. We, along with the legions of ZZ Top fans around the world, will miss your steadfast presence, your good nature, and enduring commitment to providing that monumental bottom to the top. We will forever be connected to that blues shuffle and sea. You'll be missed greatly, amigo. No cause of death was given, but Hill has struggled with hip issues since falling on the band's tour bus back in August 2014, followed by surgery and extensive physical rehab. Last weekend, the band announced that Hill would miss some scheduled shows due to a hip issue and replaced him on stage with their longtime guitar tech. Now, Dusty's been dealing with quote-unquote hip issues for quite a while. I believe he broke his leg as well a few years back. I don't know if something's going on, if something was going on. I don't know if he had bone cancer. He's a private guy. He's not going to. And most is easy. You never hear about their private life. And, that's kind of how it should be. Hey, let me hear your music because that's why I buy your shit. I don't buy your shit because who you're banging. I buy the shit because I like to drink beer to your music, laugh and dance. How's that? Okay, back to the article. Hill battled health issues throughout the years. In 2000, He was diagnosed with hepatitis C, and shortly before his initial hip injury in 2014, he required surgery to remove kidney stones. That's something a lot of people have to deal with. A native of Dallas, the musician-born Joe Michael Hill started his career. In 2016, he told For Bass Players Only magazine that he started singing for money at the age of 8. By the time he turned 13, his brother's band needed a bass player, and he was recruited. He states, I wasn't very good, but I kind of learned how to play on stage and whatnot, and embarrassment was a great motivator. He said if you don't play well, standing up there with lights on, it really doesn't stand out, so it behooves you to get your shit up pretty quick. Hill's career with, as they are affectionately known, that little old band from Texas, started out with their humorously named ZZ Top's first album in 1971 and encompassed 15 studio albums, the most recently La Futura in 2012. Through the band's roots are a combination of grimy blues, boogie blues, and rock, exemplified in rock radio favorites LaGrange and Tush. ZZ Top became unlikely heroes of the MTV era. In the 1980s, albums Eliminator, Afterburner, and Recycler spawned cheeky videos for Gimme All Your Lovin', Sharp Dressed Man, Legs, and Sleeping Bag, among other hits, which introduced them to a younger demographic. ZZ Top was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2004. Wow, they actually made a good decision earlier on. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is such a bullshit organization. It's like, what bands did the drama department in high school like? Let's put them in. Oh, they're not rock? It doesn't matter. I've never understood that. But what do I know? Okay, heading over to the discography page on Wikipedia. They say the following is a comprehensive discography of ZZ Top, an American blues rock band. They've released 15 studio albums, 4 live albums, 7 compilation albums, and 44 singles. ZZ Top has sold over 25 million albums in the U.S. with additional sales internationally. I would think that they've sold more than that. I mean, I would think that Eliminator alone would have sold that. But what do I know? Okay, so here's the albums as they were released. ZZ Top's first album, Rio Grande Mud, Tres Hombres, Fandango, amazing album, Tijas, Diguero, El Loco, Eliminator, Afterburner, Recycler, Antenna, Rhythmine, Triple X, Mascalero, La Futura. Live albums, we have Live from Texas, Double Down Live, Live at Montreal 2013, and Tonight at Midnight. Live, greatest hits from around the world. Compilation albums, we have the best of ZZ Top, we have the Six Pack, we have the greatest hits, One Foot in the Blues, Smoke Chrome and Barbecue, Rancho Texarkana, the very best of ZZ Top, the very baddest, and Goin' 50. Compilation album EPs, we have the ZZ Top Summer Holiday EP and Texacali. Singles, Salt Lick, Somebody Else Been Shaking Your Tree, Francine, LaGrange, Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, Tush, It's Only Love, Arrested for Driving Blind, Enjoy and Get It On, I Thank You, Cheap Sunglasses, Layla, Tube Snake Boogie, Pearl Necklace, Gimme All Your Lovin', Got Me Under Pressure, Sharp Dressed Man, TV Dinners, Legs, Sleeping Bag, Can't Stop Rockin', Stages, Rough Boy, Delirious, Woke Up With Wood, Velcro Fly, Double Back, Concrete and Steel, My Head's in Mississippi, Give It Up, Decision or Collision, Viva Las Vegas, Gun Love, Pincushion, Breakaway, Girl in a Shirt, Fuzzbox Voodoo, She's Just Killing Me, What's Up With That, Bang Bang, Rhythmine, Fearless Boogie, 36, 22, 36, Peace, and I Gots to Get Paid. Their other appearances were on Reverberation in 1990. If you just heard that list of songs, man, you're lucky to have one or two in your career of decades. They had, it's just unbelievable the amount, their body of work speaks for itself. There's never going to be another ZZ Top. Ever. Hopefully, there'll be a lot of bands that, get to play that long, and maybe they're still influencing people, and maybe now people listen to ZZ Top who didn't, and they'll feel bad that Dusty died, and they'll start breaking out their old ZZ albums or tapes or CDs, maybe even pay for some music downloading it. One never knows. But we're here to talk about all things ZZ today, paying tribute to the legendary Dusty Hill. Now, from what I know of ZZ Top, they're not going to continue on as ZZ. I wouldn't imagine they would. ZZ Top is three guys, and those three guys alone. Now, they may do a tribute show where the guest people come up, and Frank Beard and the Reverend Billy's there, and they're jamming along, but it's just the tip of the hat and a salute and a thank you, sir, for what you've done, what you've played, and thank you for the enjoyment you've provided us all as rock fans. But, yeah, this one, I had a hard time for the first hour after hearing about it, gotta say. So I'm going to go to Wikipedia before I start thinking too much and crawl inside my head. And we're going to go through ZZ Top's history here. And, the death of Dusty also means the death of ZZ Top as a band, as a performing band. Luckily, we have many albums, 15 of them, and compilations, etc., to get our fix in, okay? So here we go. From Wikipedia. ZZ Top is an American rock band formed in 1969 in Houston, Texas by vocalist and guitarist Billy Gibbons. After its formation, the band had undergone a few member changes before settling on its most consistent lineup for more than 5 decades. In addition to Frank Beard on drums and Dusty Hill on bass in 1969 and 1970, respectively, initially rooted in blues, the band's style has evolved throughout their career with a signature sound based on Gibbons' blues guitar style and the rhythm section of Hill and Beard. Their lyrics, often embellished with sexual innuendo, focus on their Texas roots and their sense of humor. Popular for their live performance and identical physical appearances of Gibbons and Hill, who rarely is seen without their long beards, sunglasses, and Stetson hats, the group has staged several elaborate tours. ZZ Top formed after the demise of the Moving Sidewalks, Gibbons' previous band. Within a year, they signed up with London Records and released ZZ Top's first album in 1971. Subsequent releases, such as their first top 10 albums, Tres Hombres in 1973 and Fandango in 1975, and its respective singles, LaGrange and Tush, gained extensive radio airplay. By the mid-1970s, they had become renowned in North America for their live act, highlighted by their performances during a worldwide Texas tour from 1976 to 1977, which was a critical and commercial success. Following a 2-year break in response to creative stagnation and exhaustion, ZZ invented themselves into the late 70s with a new musical direction and their now famous public image, beginning with their albums Diguelo and El Loco, 79 and 81 respectively. They experimented with instruments including clavinets, saxophones, and synthesizers. They established a more mainstream sound and gained international favor with their records Eliminator in 1983 and Afterburner in 1985, which integrated influences from new wave, punk, and dance rock. The popularity of their music videos, including those of Gimme All Your Lovin', Sharp Dressed Man, and Legs, helped propel them onto a television channel, MTV, and made them one of the most prominent artists in 1980s pulp culture. Their Afterburner tour set records for the highest attended and highest grossing concerts tour of 1986. Wow, beating the Dead. That's amazing. After additional acclaim with the release of their 10th album, Recycler, 1990, and its accompanying tour, their experimentation continued with mixed successes on the albums Antenna in 1984, Rhythm Me in 1996, Triple X in 1999, and Mescalero in 2003. The group's most recently released La Futura in 2012 and Goin' 50 in 2019, the later of which is a compilation album commemorating the band's 50th anniversary. He died on July 28th, 2021, at the age of 72. Now, when Eliminator came out, you could not get away from ZZ Top if you tried. ZZ Top was in the elevators, in the stores, on your radio, on the television, every magazine cover, and most radio stations. The legend of ZZ Top will forever be unmatchable. I'm going to have to get another thing here. I'm going to have to check another source here for how many albums, because Wikipedia has even disagreed with itself. Okay, ZZ Top has released 15 studio albums and sold an estimated 50 million albums worldwide. They have won 3 MTV Music Awards, and in 2004 they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Rolling Stone ranked Gibbons number 32 on its list of the 100 greatest guitarists of all time. He should be higher than that. It ain't about speed. It's about the feel. Throughout their career, as a band and as individuals, they have supported several campaigns and charities, including Childline, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and a fundraiser for the Delta Blues Museum. The early years, 69 to 72. The original lineup was formed in Houston and consisted of Gibbons, bassist, organist Leonard Grieg, and drummer Dan Mitchell. The name of the band was Gibbons' idea. The band had a little apartment covered with concert posters, and he noticed that many performers' names used initials. Gibbons particularly noticed B.B. King and Z.Z. Hill, and thought of combining the two into Z.Z. King, but considered it too similar to the original name. He then figured out King is going at the top, which brought him to ZZ Top. ZZ Top was managed by Bill Ham, legend, a Waxahachie, Texas native who had befriended Gibbons a year earlier. They released their first single, Salt Lick, in 1969, and the B-side containing the song Miller's Farm. Both songs credit Gibbons as the composer. Immediately after the recording of Salt Lick, Grieg was replaced by bassist Billy Etheridge, a bandmate of Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Mitchell was replaced by Frank Beard of American Blues. Due to the lack of interest from major American recording companies, ZZ Top accepted a record deal from London Records, the American affiliate of the British Decca Records label. Unwilling to sign a recording contract, Etheridge quit the band, and Dusty Hill, Frank Beard's American Blues bandmate, became his replacement. After Hill moved from Dallas to Houston, ZZ Top signed with London in 1970. They performed their concert together at the Knights of Columbus Hall in Beaumont, Texas on February 10th, 1970. In addition to assuming the role as the band's leader, Gibbons became the main lyricist, and music arranger. With the assistance of Ham and engineer Robin Hood Bryans, ZZ Top's first album, 1971, was released and exhibited the band's humor with barrelhouse rhythms, distorted guitars, double entendres, and innuendo. The music and songs reflected ZZ Top's blues influences. Following their debut album, the band released Rio Grande Mud in 1972, which produced their first charting single, Francine. First Decade and Signature Sound, 1973 to 1982. ZZ Top released Tres Hombres in 1973, which released a number 8 position on the Billboard 200 charts by early 1974, back when they mattered. The album's sound was the result of the propulsive support provided by Hill and Beard and Gibbons' growling guitar tone. Dan Erlewine wrote that the album brought ZZ Top their first top 10 record, making them stars in the process. This album included the boogie-driven LaGrange, written about the Chicken Ranch, a notorious brothel in LaGrange, Texas. Now, I live about 3 miles away from LaGrange, Illinois. But that also inspired the musical The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. Pretty funny. On the subsequent tour, the band performed sold-out concerts in the U.S. ZZ Top recorded the live tracks for the one side of their 1975 album, Fandango. During this tour, Fandango, which also contained one of the new studio songs with the top 10 single, its single, Tush, peaked at number 20 on the Billboard Hot 100. Tejas, released in 1976, would be the band's final album under their contract with London Records. It was not as successful or as positively received as their previous efforts, although the album went to number 17 on the Billboard 200. ZZ Top continued the worldwide Texas tour in support of the Tejas through most of 1977, even though they had been touring regularly for 7 years. The band then went on in what was supposed to be a 90-day break from the public appearances. Gibbons traveled to Europe, Beard went to Jamaica, and Hill went to Mexico. The break extended to 2 years, during which Gibbons and Hill grew chest-length beards. In 1979, ZZ Top signed with Warner Brothers Records and released the album Diguelo. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, and I apologize. While the album went platinum, it only reached number 24 in the Billboard chart. Only. The album produced 2 popular singles, I Thank You, a cover of the David Porter Isaac Hayes composition originally recorded by Sam and Dave, and the band's original Cheap Sunglasses. The band remained a popular concert attraction and toured in support of Diguelo. In April 1980, ZZ Top made their first appearance in Europe, performing for the German music television show Rockpalast. The band later played the BBC show The Old Grey Whistle Test, where they shared a studio with English electronic band Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, OMD. ZZ Top became fans of OMD's synthesizer-driven music and adopted elements of their energetic performance style. Before themselves experimenting with synthesizers in October of 1981 with the album El Loco. The album peaked at number 17 on the Billboard chart and featured the singles Tube Snake Boogie, Pearl Necklace, and Layla. All right, normally I do not keep beer in the house, but since Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers has been an anthem for 2 generations of both men and women, I figure might as well pour us a beer in honor of Dusty, as I have been known to be a beer drinker and Hellraiser. Here's to you, Dusty. Bottoms up. Woo! That tasted really nice. Okay, so here we go. Now, Eliminator, Afterburner, and Recycler from 1982 to 1981. ZZ Top's next album was even more successful. Eliminator, released in March 1983, featured 2 top singles, Give Me All Your Lovin' and Legs. Both of those videos you could not get away from. The 2 additional top rock hits, Got Me Under Pressure and Sharp Dressed Man, with Legs peaking at number 31 at the Club Play singles chart. Eliminator saw a band fully embrace synthesizers and elements of new wave music. Electronic band Depeche Mode has been cited as an influence in that album. Scotty, that's for you, buddy. It became a critical and commercial success, selling over more than 10 million albums, while peaking at number 9 in the U.S. Billboard pop charts. Several music videos from the album were in regular rotation on MTV. The band also won their first MTV Music Award in the category of Best Group Video for Legs. Also the Best Damn Car. And Best Direction for Sharp Dressed Man. The music videos were included in their Greatest Hits video, which was later released on DVD and quickly went multi-platinum. The later lead singer of Survivor, Jimmy Jamison, provided background vocals on that album after hanging with the band since its late 70s in different occasions. Gibson's refers to Jamison, and I did not know this, as the 4th member of the group for being a big fan, contributor, and humble person. I only had a couple sips of beer so far. However, the Eliminator album was not without controversy. According to former stage manager David Blaney, in his book Sharp Dressed Man, sound engineer Lyndon Hudson co-wrote much of the material on the album while serving as a live-in high-tech music teacher to Beard and Gibbons. Despite continued denials by the band, it settled a 5-year legal battle with Hudson, paying him $600,000 after he proved he held the copyright to the song Thug. Despite not selling as many copies as Eliminator 1985's Afterburner became the band's highest charting album, number 4 on the Billboard chart, raking up sales of 5 million units. I thought the previous album was better myself. All of the singles from Afterburner were top 40 hits, with 2, Sleeping Bag and Stages, hitting number 1 on the mainstream rock chart. The music video for Velcro Fly was Pop singer Paula Abdul choreographed that video. ZZ Top's grueling Afterburner World Tour lasted well into 1987, which also had the release of the ZZ Top 6-pack, a 3-disc collection of ZZ Top's albums from 1970 to 1981, with the exception of Diguelo. The albums, ZZ Top's first album, Rio Grande Mud, Tres Hombres, Fandango, and Tijas, were remixed to have a more contemporary sound. I probably butchered that, but now I'm drinking, so I don't really care. Recycler, released in 1990, was ZZ Top's last studio album under the contract with Warner Brothers Records. Recycler also was the last of a distinct sonic trilogy in the ZZ Top catalog, marking a return towards a simpler guitar-driven blues sound with less synthesizer and pop bounce than the previous two albums. The move did not entirely suit the fan base that Eliminator and Afterburner had built up, and while Recycler did achieve platinum status, it never matched the sales of those albums. However, the single My Head's in Mississippi did reach number 1 on the Billboard Album Rock Tracks chart that year. As they returned to the guitar-driven sound from 1992 to 2003, in 92, Warner released ZZ Top's greatest hits, along with Rolling Stone-style cut Gun Love and the Elvis-inflicted video Viva Las Vegas. In 1993, ZZ Top inducted a major influence, Cream, into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Quite an honor. In 1994, the band signed a $35 million deal with RCA Records, releasing the million-selling Antenna, subsequent RCA albums Rhythmine, 1996, and 1999's Triple X, the second album to feature live tracks. It sold well, but did not reach the levels previously enjoyed. In 2003, ZZ Top released a final RCA album, Mescalero, an album thick with harsh Gibbon guitar and featured a hidden track, a cover version as time goes by. RCA impresario Clive Davis wanted to do a collaboration record in the mode of Santana's successful Supernatural for this album. In an interview with Goldmine magazine, Davis stated that artists Pink, Dave Matthews, and Wilco were among the artists slated for the project. ZZ Top performed Tush and Legs as part of the Super Bowl 31 halftime show in 1997. A comprehensive 4-CD collection of recordings from the London and Warner Brothers years, Chrome, Smoke, and Barbecue, was released in 2003. It featured the band's first single, A and B-side, and several rare B-side tracks, as well as a radio promotion from 1979, a live track, and several extended dance mix versions of their biggest MTV hits. These three tracks from Billy Gibbons' pre-ZZ band, The Moving Sidewalks, were also included. Okay, just so everyone knows, I'm dyslexic, so reading articles live, you're lucky I can even get a sentence out. But, we do what we can. Now we get to critical acclaim and special releases, or retrospective releases, 2004 to 2011. In 2004, ZZ Top was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones gave the induction speech. ZZ Top gave a brief performance playing LaGrange and Tush. Expanded and remastered versions of the original studio albums from the 1970s and 80s are currently in production, marketed as Remastered and Expanded. These releases include additional live tracks which were not present on the original recordings. 3 such CDs have been released to date: Tres Hombres, Fandango, and Eliminator. The first 2 were released in 2006 and uses the original mixes free from echo and drum machines, while Eliminator was released in 2008. The Eliminator re-release also features a collector's edition collector's edition version containing a DVD featuring several videos and additional live tracks. The Eliminator Collections Edition CD-DVD celebrating the 25th anniversary of the band's iconic RIAA Diamond Certified album was released September 10th, 2008. The release includes 7 bonus tracks and a bonus DVD, including 4 television performances from The Tube in November of 1983. The band performed at the 2009 Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo the final night of March 22, 2009. In July, the band appeared on VH1 Storytellers in celebration of their 4 decades as a recording artist. La Futura and subsequent events. Billy Gibbons stated in an interview in August 2011 that a new album had been recorded, with initial recording taking place in Malibu, California before moving to Houston. But before, that was still unnamed and had yet to be mixed and mastered. Gibbons said that The expected release date was something in March of April 2012, but later, a late summer, early fall release date was announced. The album was subsequently released on September 11th, 2012. Entitled La Futura. The album was produced by Rick Rubin. Of course, he's a friggin' genius. The first single from the album, I Gots to Get Paid, debuted an advertising campaign for Jeremiah Weed Whiskey and appears on the soundtrack for the film Battleship. The song itself is an interpretation of 25 Lighters by Texan hip-hop DJ DMD and rappers Little Keek and Fat Pat. The first 4 songs from La Futura debuted on June 5th, 2012, and A Harley Rolls By in honor of Dusty. In case you didn't hear it, that was a nice little rip-rolling Harley. Okay, Texicali. DJ Screw is a major influence on the album as well, particularly because Gibbons and Screw both worked with engineer G.L. Moon during the late 1990s. The band kicked off a North American tour with a concert in Red Bank, New Jersey, at the Count Basie Theater on March 3rd, 2015. After rescheduled dates and additions, the tour wrapped up at the concert in Highland Park, Illinois at the Ravinia Pavilion on August 27th with opening act Blackberry Smoke. Great band. Jeff Beck, great guitar player, legend, joined ZZ Top for 7 concerts on the tour. On September 9th, 2016, ZZ Top released a new live album entitled Tonight at Midnight Live, Greatest Hits from Around the World in 2017. ZZ Top announced their 217 tonnage tour, which was to last from February 19th to March 14th. However, they were forced to cancel the last few dates of their tour due to the ailment of bassist Dusty Hill. See, I think something was going on with him for a while, and, he handled it with grace. In 2018, the band announced their 6-day Las Vegas run of shows to be held at the Venetian, starting from April 20th, 2019. Upcoming studio album and Death of Dusty Hill. In a September 2019 interview with Ultimate Classic Rock, Hill stated that there's a good chance ZZ Top will release a follow-up to La Futura. We've got a lot in the can. It depends on how we would want to put it together or redo it or whatever. Because it's years of stuff. We just record everything and then we go, well, no, this didn't quite feel right now. Gibbons told Las Vegas Review-Journal in April 2020 that he, Hill, and Beard had been cooking up another round of wicked sounds for the next ZZ record. On June 21st, 2020, Gibbons stated interest in having guitarist Jeff Beck make a guest appearance on the album. That's really good beer. In November 2020, it was announced that the documentary The Little Old Band from Texas was nominated for the Grammy Award for Best Music Film with the award ceremony scheduled for March 2021. On July 28, 2021, ZZ Top announced in a statement that Hill had died in his home in Houston at the age of 72. The band had played their first show without him 5 days earlier at the Village Commons in New Lenox, Illinois, filling in for Hill, who was unable to perform due to hip issues. At this show was ZZ Top's longtime guitar tech, Elwood Francis. Now, Dusty, man, ZZ Top, what a legend. You know, it's going to be weird going on. Yeah, of course I didn't know this person, but I knew his music. And, you know, when you've had a band that's been out for that long, I mean, my whole life, to me, there's always been a ZZ Top. There's always been clouds in the sky, there's always been mountains, and there has always been ZZ Top. How do you know, that's amazing. What a great band. You know, generations of musicians love these guys. They're the reason why they do what they do. Or maybe they saw their mom or dad dancing to something that these guys were doing, and they said, you know what? If I can make people do that, maybe it's worth picking up a guitar, picking up some drumsticks, picking up the bass, or a ratty old microphone, and seeing if you can do it. If you can't do it and you still do it, good on you. If you can do it and you can do it, even better. Anyway, So we're going to wrap this up here. This is a special edition, even though there's only been, this is the 4th podcast, but I figured something had to be said about Dusty as much as he influenced me, my family. The soundtrack of my life has been scattered with ZZ Top from the day I can remember. You did what you did, Dusty, and I thank you. May the crossroads forever be in your favor. As we wrap up this episode of Creativity, I got a little something to say. So the next time you're in your car, you got the windows down, you're driving 85 miles an hour or faster down that highway, and the sun's going down, a breeze is kicking through the valley, and you see the seed being spread due to a dusty hill embraced with the glow of golden sunlight. You know what you need to do? Well, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to crank some fucking ZZ Top and have a great goddamn day. Thank you, Dusty Hill, for your music, your time, your contribution to making things a little bit better in this shitty world we live in. Long live ZZ Top. Long live Dusty Hill. Next time you don't feel good, just grab some tush. Until next time, I'm V, your host. This is Creativity. Thanks for listening, everyone. Take care and rock the fuck out.